I want to show you how you can use Dynamics GP to manage a high volume dropship order business. Whether you're getting your orders from a website or you have a number of order entry people, you may end up with a lot of orders that need to be turned around into dropship orders. In other words, you're going to take those sales orders from your customer, create purchase orders to your vendors, and then have your vendors ship those items out. Let me show you how you can do this easily in Dynamics GP. First of all, let's enter a sales transaction. We're going to enter our sales order, and I've used a special order type called dropship. And the reason I did that is because I have this type set to not allocate inventory. So this allows me to put that lines in, and the system will not try to allocate it. That will make things a little easier for the dropship. So let's go ahead and just look up a customer here and enter a sales order for this customer. Now I'm also going to use my batches here quite a bit in this process. So I've made up a batch called dropship, and I'm going to put all my dropship orders in there. I'm going to also use that batch to print my documents and also to transfer my orders into invoices. So let's get back to the sales order. I'm going to enter a line item. I purposely set up two items that are sourced by two different vendors so we can see how that would work in a high volume situation. Let's look up the two items here. Here they are. It's entering those line items, putting the quantities in. I want to make sure that I mark them as dropship. Now let's take a look at the quantity detail. Here, because I'm not allocating, I've got quantity invoice. Quantity to fulfill is not filled in yet, it's 0. This will be filled in when the purchase order for these items is received and invoiced. So let's take a look at that. Now I've got a number of invoices already that are similar. So let's just take a look at them. Here's a number of them. You can see them all set up as drop ships. So what I'm going to do now is I've got all these orders, but I need to communicate with my vendors in order to ship this stuff to the appropriate places. So there's a function in GP that makes this pretty easy to do. So what I did is I set up the sales range inquiry for all dropship orders, and this is it right here. I select that. It's going to show me all my dropship orders, and if I expand it, you can see that I've got individual orders in here. They're all drop ships, and now what I'm going to do is I want to place the purchase orders for all these items. So all I need to do is hit purchase. It's going to go out, look at my system information. You can see it's suggesting a number of purchase orders, and basically I have two vendors involved in this process. I've got this one here and this one down here, and you can see that this process is creating individual POs for each customer item combination. You can see I've got all this item here coming from this vendor and the second item coming from the second vendor. So all I need to do at this point is then hit generate. It's going to go through, it's going to actually create all those purchase orders in my system, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to communicate with a vendor about these purchase orders. Here's a register that shows all these purchase orders that have been created. You can see them all listed here. These are the different purchase order numbers. So now what I want to do is I want to print these purchase orders and send them to my vendors. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use this print document function in purchasing, and I'm going to send those documents by email, and I'm just going to send the new ones. I'm not going to send the other ones here, and I'm just going to select all my purchase orders. It's only going to send the ones that are new. In Dynamics GP, when you put in a new purchase order, it's set to new until you print the document. So this is just going to print the documents for the new ones. Once they've been printed, the status on those purchase orders is changed to released. So I'm going to print those now, and it's going to go into email and send those out to my vendors. Here's the purchase order format that I sent out to each of my vendors here, and you can see that this is using the new Word format. So now let's take a look at what we do with the purchase order. So I'm done with this. I'm going to go back to Dynamics here. Let's take a look at those purchase orders, and here they are. This is the last one that we created. You can see that there's a link back to the sales order. If I click on that, you can see here's the purchase order for that sales order here. So now all I need to do is, once my vendor has told me that they have shipped the product to my customer, all I need to do then is to invoice the PO. And what that will do is that will create the payables transaction in accounts payable. It'll also signal the attached invoice that those items have been received and that they're okay to invoice. So I'm going to create the vendor's invoice here in payables, put in the document number, and then I'm done. So I'm going to do this process for all my purchases and all my shipments as they come in. Now let's take a look back at the sales transactions. If I go back and look at my orders that we placed earlier here, you can see I've got quite a few, and let's look at the last one here. I'm going to bring that up. Let's take a look at the quantity detail. Here you can see this is quantity invoice is 40, and the quantity fulfilled has now been changed to 40 because I have indicated to the system that the vendor has shipped the product to my customer. I have put that invoice into my system. You can see now that the quantity is fulfilled. If I go to the next line item, this quantity has been fulfilled as well because the purchase order for this item has been invoiced. So now what I would do is I could print this order out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the orders that have been shipped and transfer those into invoices, print out the invoices, and then post those invoices. So I could do it one by one, but I'm going to do it by batch. So let's go over to the batch here. This is my dropship batch, and what I want to do is transfer all the orders into invoices. And again, it's only going to transfer the orders that have actually been shipped to my clients. So let's hit transfer. It's going to create those invoice documents within my system. And here's a log of that event. Let's take a look at it. So it created these invoices based on the orders and based on the shipments for those orders. So now let's go back into the batch here. If I look up that batch, what I can do now too is I can print the invoices from this batch as well. So if I go over to the printer icon up here, and I'm going to print the invoices, and I'm going to send them by email. So I'm going to do that. So I'll go into my system and send all the invoices to my clients. And here are the invoices that were emailed out to my customers. I can open that up, and here you can see it's a Word form. I can make this pretty much look any way I want to, but these were individually emailed out to my different customers from that batch. So let's now go back to that batch, and I'm pretty much done with this, so I'm just going to post these invoices. Again, it's only going to post the invoices that have been completed. So there it goes. And that's it. This is a good example of how to process a large number of orders in Dynamics GP, especially if you have a drop ship situation. I'm taking a number of orders from a website, maybe from a large volume data entry center, and I'm processing those within Dynamics GP. I'm sending out the messaging I need to send to my vendor, to my customer, and I'm posting that all throughout the system with very little effort.